ESO's worst player. Prove me wrong. I wear a bucket and helmet for a helmet, and I have a broom as my weapon. You might be the best sweeper-upper in the game. We need you for all the carpets. As a standard lazy sword, maybe the ultimate build. Tanks, heals, deeps, all in one. It does. And it's sold as a fact. The easiest build available. This is the funny thing. Again, you're flogging a dead horse arguing with stupid people because they want to be stupid on purpose, right? They're not arguing with facts, with countered facts. They're arguing for the sake of arguing. Lazy Sork was actually the Easy Sork, which was one of the world's most popular builds for sorcerers over the last 6 years. It had updates almost every patch during that time. And as part of my job, I obviously get to see and have to consider how people receive that. Now, thousands and thousands and thousands of people, fact, no matter how salty you are, fact, have achieved by using that build. It has benefited them. It's not saying the build carries them. It means it gave them something accessible. Now, even though that's the case, there was still a vast majority of players that, even though that was the easiest build on my channel, there was a vast majority of players that still struggled even then. They could apply the skills, they could get the content done, but they couldn't quite improve on the DPS because they couldn't line up light attacks, heavy attacks, etc. So I made the Lazy Sword, which is a 1-bar variant. Made it 10 times easier to use, just as effective, and everything was in one place without complicating it. Like, even less complications. And fuck tons of people have achieved with it. It has heals on tap just for doing damage. It's got big damage mitigation. You've got massive fucking damage shields. You don't really have to do anything. Wall of Elements, heavy attack, done. And I labeled it as, because no clickbait, I labeled it as the easiest build out there. Because it is. And I had someone fucking kick off at me. They were like, actually, it's not the easiest build. The easiest build is 2 pets and curse. Wait. The word easiest. Listen to the word. Easiest. So, you decided that having all your front-loaded bonuses to keep your survival up, doing nothing, just sitting there and helping you do that, and applying 1 skill and a heavy attack, you decided that taking off those survival skills that you never have to press and replacing them with 3 skills that you now have to track and time and press is easier than not doing it. So doing more is easier. You're wrong. You're wrong. I know what you meant. You meant you get more damage doing that. But the word easiest has a definition, and you don't understand it. If you don't understand the definition of the word easiest, we are done arguing about anything else. And that dude got so pissed. So pissed. Like, well, fuck it. Get pissed then. You're not even going to use it, so what difference does it make? You're just there to fucking complain. You subbed so you can complain. Once you play Lazy Talk, it might just become your most favorite default tune. It is fucking easy. It is. It really is. And some of the least experienced and some of the least skilled players, no fucking shame on it, haven't found what works for them, and that did. It just did. Of all the things they tried, and all the things they were forced to believe they had to use, they're now running around cracking like 50, 60, 70k DPS without trying, whereas other builds that were still very, very simple, that should have an average, kind of a good average, they couldn't hit, they couldn't do it. Like, if I said, put on a damage shield, put on a heal, something that simple, they couldn't do it. So, just this, and hold this button, gave the same results as the other option, but was less complicated. And again, that was the point of the build. It wasn't to jump on a trend wagon and all the rest of it. That was the purpose of it, was to help people. After that, I have to see your recommendations. Thank you. You're welcome. There's loads on the channel. And if you're clever, you will notice, because I'm going to give you a hint here, you will notice that most of the builds on the channel are deliberately designed to take advantage of all the kind of buffs, bonuses, stuff that they have on the class and their role and all that kind of stuff. But they're normally pushed towards a certain area so that another area is deliberately left out. That way, another one of the builds can come in and do it for them. So, there's not necessarily gaps, but there's room. RC Shadow Rose! Thank you very much indeed. Massively appreciated being cake in the chat. So, if you consider nature's bounty, for example, and then this is the thing again, if you can understand this, we're halfway there. People were trying to make brittle apply, and this is no shade thrown at people. I'm just going to talk facts about how things work in the game. People were trying, as soon as brittle came out, and if you don't understand how brittle works, I'm just going to explain briefly. If you fire wall of elements with an ice staff, you will get ice wall of elements. Inside of that, if you apply chilled, then obviously extra effects happen, much like lightning and much like fire. Well, that was utilized quite a bit to fire the glyph. So you can have a glyph on your weapon, any weapon, and a weapon error of effect damage over time skill will constantly fire it, even if you swap bars. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to put on ice glyph, which has a higher status effect, in a wall so that it would continuously fire chilled. If you fire chilled, the enemy has minor maim, so they do less damage. Perfect. However, they added a side effect to it. If you're holding an ice staff while chilled is active, sorry, while it procs, when it fires, you will apply minor brittle. So you'll do extra crit damage to the target. And they were trying to fire this over and over and over and over and over, so they were backbar on that shit. They forgot that when they get to the front, on a sword and board, or whatever the fuck it is they were using, that you no longer have that bonus. Your Destro staff has to be an ice staff. You have to be holding it when you fire. So if it fires off of the skill, because it's on the ground, and you're on the wrong bar, it won't happen. So people struggle trying to make that work. Eventually, they added brittle to the ice taunt, but it's only a 4-second timer, and the taunt is 15. So if you don't want to constantly spam taunt and waste all your resources, you got to find another way of doing it. Nature's bounty is a tank. A tank. Every sense of the word. It's got CC, it's got full fucking ability to taunt and pull and pin and everything. It's got the lot. But it's got so much fucking ice, deliberately, that it can apply minor brittle in area of effect. Every target around you, almost 100% uptime. So while people struggle to get it on a single target and maintain it, that build allowed you to fully control it in a fucking room full of enemies. And because everything you're doing is damage over time, even small ticks, it procs a Zerg Blight and you blow up rooms at the same time. So that combination of stuff was kind of thought out over a long period of time to solve several problems. Massive control, huge stuns, loads of fucking minor maim so nobody can get hit really hard at all, major maim and major fucking protection, and constant brittle in area of effect. And the same people that were trying really hard to force something that they didn't understand on one target said that because they can do it in area of effect, the build is useless. And that's what you're dealing with. Although I don't play your builds, I do appreciate how thorough your designs are. Thank you very much. Videos have helped me better understand the stuff I run to. And that's the point, right? The point of my channel is not to shout, oh, this is best instead, and have a full conflict. Obviously, there is going to be conflict there because people disagree, but disagree all you like. The point is to help people understand what they're doing. So I will give you something that in a whole video, a new player, an intermediate player, or an advanced player, an extremely advanced player, will find at least one thing in that video that they didn't know. That's the goal. 2 questions, usually from most humans, how and why. So usually I try to answer both in the same video. So even if you don't like or want to use any of the builds, if you do have time, listen especially to the passives and skills section. Even if you understand the skills, you might find something in there that kind of pushes your next customization to a next level. A lot of times I take the base build and then edit it to what I want to do. Exactly. Nothing wrong with that. Slacker, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. Rather Dashin, also welcome. Everyone is chat Saturday night indeed. This build, however, I had someone whinge at me. He's telling me I have to use an ice staff. Why? This is a serious question for the chat. Why do you think they said that? I'm in hospital right now, so less than ideal. That is not ideal. What console do you play on? I was on PS5. I play on everything. Every single platform, every single server. But this is my main one. It's PS5 today. Same here. All my tunes are either size. For the taunt? Nope. Not for the taunt. I got a taunt. I got 2 taunts. I have a taunt here, which is 28 meters range. And I also have a 22 meter range one here, which is a class 1, which builds Crux, gives me armor, steals armor, stacks with minor and major breach, etc, etc. Which build is this? This is the Keeper. It is an Arcanist tank. I know you do that as not the question you asked. I did. I said, why do you think they want it? Brittle. There you go. Wisso! Thank you very much. Beer and cake in the chat, people. Thank you very much indeed. So, Ben's nailed it. Brittle. Someone had a go at me and said, I have to have an ice staff. I have to take off the sword and board. I have to add an extra skill because of brittle. Read that, please. Read that. Go halfway down. Get to where it says minor vulnerability, which is quite nice. But get to the next bit. 20-second brittle. Not, I'm going to bar swap left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, fire a wall, fire a glyph, not get the status effect, swap bars, get the status effect, not get brittle. Not put on an ice staff, swap a few skills around, completely fuck up the build, add 2 more skills I don't need, maybe get brittle. 20 fucking seconds. 1 skill, done. Not only that, if that's not a boss, you fucking stun it for 8 seconds. Problem solved. Problem solving is a massive part of making a build, especially if you're giving it to an audience. That stuff is already covered. To assume that I missed something that fucking basic, you kind of love the sound of your own voice. They were so aggressive about wanting the ice stuff too. I know you saw it. Yeah, they were fucking nuts. And that's the thing. If you conflict against somebody's belief when they've been force-fed the wrong information, it's really tricky to get around them to make them understand. Look, open your mind a little bit. There are reasons for this. What's the reason for you doing what you're doing? Because it's best. No, what's the reason? It's best. No, why are you doing it? They don't know. They don't know, and that's the conflict. 9 times out of 10, the person or the brick wall you're arguing with doesn't know why they're having a go at you. So that's the conversations you can have. And when people come up to me like, why'd you do that for your build? Any question you have for the build, I can fucking give you an answer for. Because it's already designed that way. Like, I must have a nice stuff. Internet knows more than devs. Here's the thing as well. I've got 8 tanks on my channel. Most of them have updates throughout. Unless, of course, they don't really need one. In which case, the written guide might be updated. Just saying, updated for this patch, blah, blah, blah. Every single one of them, in their own right, are unique. Different to the others. And all capable of all the content. You mix a couple of them together, it's a fucking mess. And I don't mean in a bad way. And that's what I mean by once someone declares something is best, their thinking has been done for them. Correct. I've seen a lot of different interesting kind of motivational videos lately where people have underlined what that is. And it's true. If you tell enough people the same thing over and over and over, even in a short form, enough to convince people that they believe it before they understand it, you can't argue with them afterwards because they've already made up their mind. They've already decided that anything you say is wrong, and they won't question its actual validity. They won't question what it is in the first place and why. Unrelated, what sword fashion is that? That's a new one, and that is on the Crown store right now. So I can't remember what it's called, but it's there. Because part of it is, yeah, misinformed by other parties. Wow, this is easy for me to believe something that's untrue. Well, here's the thing. Drama and bullshit and hype sells faster than fact. And the fact that there is a fact is a problem. Because you can't then sell that as a fact because people won't believe it. I said it before, it's easier to sell bullshit than it is to swallow the truth. And that's not to say that anyone's playing badly if they choose to play another way. That's entirely up to them. The point is when people argue the toss about something they don't get. Like there's no point in arguing. Like someone told me the other day, and this is all in the video, so if you do want to watch it, you can get all the proper information all in one place. But we'll vaguely go over stuff here. Someone told me the other day, your tank doesn't bring any buffs and bonuses to the group. So, first of all, minor fortitude, minor intellect, minor endurance, that's all recovery bonuses for people that can't sustain. Also, minor courage, increase in weapon and spell damage, obviously, which is really handy because that's what Yolocrin, I don't have to wear the set. So you got 15% recovery for every single stat, plus weapon and spell damage increase. Plus you heal them over time for standing in it. Then you've got this, which is minor resolve to everyone, plus it immobilizes things at the same time, so it's a root and buff at the same time, plus minor protection for you, which is fucking insane, and it also gives you emergency heal, which is quite nice. So you've got resistance buff for the group, damage buff for the group, extra recovery for the group, in 2 fucking skills. Then you've got this, which is a taunt for the class. It removes 2,200 armor from the target, and that stacks with the 3k you almost get from minor breach, and it stacks with the 6k you get from major breach. So not only is that a taunt, it's a taunt that stacks with the previous taunt. So you don't need to bring that. Again, debuffing. Minor brittle, minor vulnerability. Oh my god, how dare you do extra damage to the target, and how dare you do extra crit to the target, and how dare you stun them at the same time. Damage shield for you, great. More Crux, blah, blah, blah. Stuff for you. This here, minor breach. On tap. All you have to do is get hit. Major breach from a skill. So, again, major breach, minor breach. Another armor reducing bonus. Minor brittle, minor vulnerability, minor fortitude, minor intellect, minor endurance, minor courage, and minor resolve. Not to mention, of course, you've got this ulti here, which gives people 200 weapon and spell damage just for standing in it, plus a heal. Or, if you want to use that, you've given them a 21 to 24k damage shield every second that you get hit. Not to mention, of course, I've got Crimson on, which reduces fucking resistances yet again. Which, again, on top of this, because my resistances are overcapped, I actually strip all the resistances from the target. All of them. And I'm cap resist myself. And I've got ulti reduction, so I can use my ultis quicker. All those buffs and bonuses, all that pen debuffing, and someone just walked in and went, "You're not buffing the group." You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So, yeah, that's the conflict. So when someone goes to you and they come up and they go, "Yeah, so I don't know what he's doing." Really? Have you ever watched a fucking video? You can do what you like. That is okay. But those words were incorrect. And this is fucking nuts, though, by the way. If you want to try it, if you get the time, I would encourage it, obviously. Bear in mind, by the way, if you've got someone in your group that's an Arcanist with full light armor, or you've got a shit ton of them, you are overcapped to fuck when it comes to pen with this in the room. So I've also got an option for that, where you basically have infinite magical recovery, and you can still further help the group by having faster fire and ultimates. Even faster than this is. And why do you need those in mag recovery? I'm going to give you a lesson here, people. So, scaling confuses people. Weapon damage and spell damage are equal contributors to your damage output or your healing damage or your healing skills, but the higher one of the two is the one that is going to scale off of overall. So if you have a magic skill like Breath of Life, it can scale off of weapon damage or spell damage, whichever's highest. It can scale off of stamina or magicka, whichever's highest. It's up to you. The cost is set in stone. The Arcanist has some skew-if abilities that scale off of your highest and scale off of your lowest. You have to read that, but generally that's how it works. This build relies on the stand bar for blocking, taunting, and pretty much it. That's apart from one debuff. Everything else is magicka. But everything else that I'm using for magicka doesn't scale off of a resource like that. It doesn't scale off the highest resource. It's utility. So when I apply something that applies minor resolve, minor protection, that doesn't scale off of either one of those. It costs magic. So I can go full stam and give myself as much recovery as possible. I don't need a big bar to spend and go down to nothing and can't use it anymore. I need a bar that's capable of filling quickly so I can spend fill, spend fill, spend fill. I can spam more. So flat stats on the stamina for blocking and taunting. Really high recovery on the magicka for constant use of heals, buffs, debuffs, all that kind of stuff that, again, doesn't scale off of that stat, but I need it to be able to spend it. All the stuff that I heal with actually comes from my health. My damage shields, my heals, all come from my health stat. So, crank up the fucking health. As far as my skills are concerned, all my stam skills are scaled off of my highest resource, so they are efficient now. My survival skills are all scaled off of my health, so they are efficient now. And my utility skills are not scaled off of anything, and they just need the pool to be able to refill for spamming. So that's why my mag recovery is so high. I'm sitting on 3.2k.
Drinks all around.
Everything is done for a reason. So while people will sit there and say you don't know what you're doing, you're throwing shit against the wall, I can give you an answer for every single intricate choice on every single build because I designed them that way on purpose. Again, 3.6k recovery. Here's my damage shield. Watch my bar. Are you serious?
Drinks all around.
And that, even without buffs and bonuses, is a 38k damage shield. I'm not gonna die. Love the Arcanist, cost flexibility. Yeah, it's really fun, dude. You have to look into it a bit more than you would other classes. But it is very, very cool. Also, Crux building, by the way. Jiggly, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. One more thing I'm going to explain over the build. It is all in the video anyway. But you see this here, and this here, and then I'm on front bar. Now, my damage shield will give me a heal if I build Crux first. If I don't, then it's going to be shit. But the damage shield will still apply. You'll still get all the shiny shit. How do I build Crux? First of all, you taunt. Okay? So, this here applies a Crux for taunting. This ability on the back is a DPS skill, right? No. This particular morph is not. It will do damage on the target if you do damage with an Arcanist skill. But the point is, one, it's very expensive. I can recover quickly. But this needs to maintain. I need to build Crux. If I don't have any Crux on at the moment, and I actually gain one, or do any damage, or whatever, I will get one from that skill. So keeping that active, I gain a Crux. This resistance buff, all I have to do is get hit to gain a Crux. And if I taunt, I gain a Crux. So basically, for taunting and getting hit and leaving this buff active, I can get 3 in 1 second. Which easily gives me my very big damage shield nice and quick. Rather than taunt. Like 3 seconds with global cooldowns in between, obviously from lights or heavies or whatever, to try and get 1 damage shield. I don't need to. This is more efficient. Maintain those, taunt it, get hit. And stuff like that is how you make an effective build. You have to line everything up. Shitlords sitting there going, you don't know what you're talking about. Again, it's frustrating to fucking watch them even pretend that they know what they're doing. Can you spell out why the Arcanist has so many shields? How do you mean? It doesn't have too many shields. I mean, it has damage shields, but then it's to be unique in its own right. Other classes maybe have 1 or whatever, but this one is just built that way. You're going to be different to other classes on purpose. Crux building, beams, and damage shields are what its style is, really. Been building the BFG, lots of fun. Thank you very much. Glad you're enjoying it. As far as being overly competitive, 2 ways to win a game: make myself better to make everyone else even worse. But just saying worse, your worse doesn't actually make you worse. The issue. Be careful with your spam, because you send messages really fucking fast. Some people turn up to the track and race around it, and then go and knock on their friend's house and say, "I beat you," when they weren't even there. So that's also something you got to consider. But yeah, there's a lot of options. There's loads of options. And if you limit yourself to a few things, then that's fine. But you can't then claim there's nothing else out there if you haven't looked. Simple as that. Because the game designers, as I said, it does. Correct. Every class has its own style. That just happens to be the Arcanist style. They like damage shields. But you do have to obviously build them up. And they are fucking strong. Especially the ulti. It's insane. Still haven't maxed that out, but I don't need to. Yuri! I'm not leaving, dude. It's 5 minutes to 1. Which is fucking late, and I'm getting really bloody hot. The hit hard part might be tough to upkeep, but still, you can figure something out if you test enough. Correct. Very, very true. It's deliberately designed to be different to what you would normally expect, because they didn't want another class to land and be played exactly the same as every other class. You can, of course, use other skills from other skill lines and utilize them within your build. That's always going to be there. But they didn't want to force you into, here's a load of skills that you obviously fully understand as something that's exactly the same as another class, just green. They didn't want to do that. They've got a couple of things in there that are kind of spammy or whatever, but they are, in their own right, very different. For example, the runes, single target AoE, or which they change it to as constant AoEs, and then they've got another morph. You got the tentacle, which is its own execute effectively, but at the same time it adds a buff to the target, which means if you hit it, you do more damage. There's lots of different stacking effects you can take advantage of. It's a lot easier to get into than the Necromancer, because you can just spam buttons and have fun in this mega. But if you understand the intricacies of it, and you can track them, then you can go really far with it. Wanted to step by earlier, but been just done with a 5 to 6 hour torture of VDSA final boss. Hopefully you did it, dude. It was fun. Just have fun and focus on better on the bombs. Oh, you mean the Atronachs. Tank building balls down to 1. Take and hold the taunt. 2. Stay alive. And if you can do all the 2 things, and then you can add debuff in the target and protect the squishy, that's pretty much it. Yeah, I mean, you can design your build however you want. I mean, especially if you've got a purpose. Like, if you say, I want to make big damage shields, and you do that, congratulations. You did it. But you do want to stick to your main purpose, which is to make sure that you do aggro and control the targets. Outside of that, everything else is a bonus. Up to you, though. We have to go in the water for the bombs. Water for the bombs. See VDSA. Oh, VDSR. My bad. For some reason, I read that as what's the fuck is it called? Dragonstar. My brain is stopping, dude. I'm fucking tired. Right, I have to go. I've ranted enough. Hopefully that was somewhat useful. And no, it's not meant to be a negative. It's just meant to be factual speech. If you want to understand how things really are outside of the brick wall stuff, have a look. Read. Find stuff out. Try stuff out. If you haven't tested it, you don't have results. Find out. Gotta go. What's the day today? Fuck me, it's Saturday, isn't it? I am streaming tomorrow. So I'll see you tomorrow, guys. Thank you for watching. Hugely appreciate support. If you're not subscribing on YouTube, go over there and follow. Or sub even. If you're not I can't get words out. Following on Twitch. They do different things. Subbing on YouTube and subbing on Twitch are two different things. Sub on YouTube, that's free. Follow on Twitch, that's free. Join on YouTube, that's not free, but there's loads of new footage on there from older stuff that nobody's seen before, but that's a perk you have to pay for. Patreon, that's a perk you have to pay for. And socials, you don't have to pay shit. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, the website xynodegaming.com. All the guys on there are free. Fucking enjoy. See you all tomorrow. Bye-bye. We're going to do a raid.